Get ready for this upcoming new moon in Sagittarius because it is bringing you fresh, new energy, very supportive and harmonizing energy for you to finally break free and wipe the slate clean. Your soul is guiding you to follow that dream, that goal, that move, that nudge, whatever it is, and to move forward. This is akin to getting the first baby wipe from a container. It's fresh, it's clean, and it's the best one usually. You could also say coffee. So come join me and let's dive deep and unpack what this lunation is going to bring for all of us. Hey everyone, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be unpacking quite a bit with this upcoming new moon in Sagittarius happening on December 12th at 6:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York City time for reference, at 20 degrees and 40 minutes of Sagittarius. There is a lot of information that I channeled, I received, and the astrology is actually pretty straightforward. Nothing big or major, nothing harsh. This is unlike previous lunations, this lunation is offering us the opportunity to move past the past, to heal, to recognize what we still need to identify and move on from, and to start something new. Because I kept getting the energy that wherever Sagittarius is in the part of your life, and even in general, because nothing is done in isolation, everything works together. There's something that wants to come to life. There's a spark. And as always, if you are new here, know that I have two wiener dogs, Rusty and Gia. They usually start playing, drinking water, eating right when I start filming. So just an alert if you hear any noise in the background. I really do try to minimize that. We are going to dive into the astrology, take a look at some of the aspects and alignments happening, look into the degree theory, Sabian Symbol, Numerology, and quite a few channeled messages. We will unpack some of those. I also received some messages around movies and songs, and there's guidance that comes with that, along with the 3 primary channeled messages that I received for this lunation. As always, timestamps are provided in the description box and also in the comment box, so you can skip around. And I provide a link to the lunation, to the chart. So I suggest you pull it up. You can follow along. You can also follow along with your own natal chart as well. So you can compare degrees, especially if you use different houses. So the major theme that I got here is that there's some type of overarching belief system, dream, goal, whatever it is that you want to move forward, especially that's being highlighted in the Sagittarius part of your chart of your life, if you will, that you want to pursue, and that you may be feeling that you have a different way of looking at this or approaching this. Perhaps you're seeing things from a different way and you're wanting to continue this area. You want to make progress in this area, I should say, but you want to do it in a different way. So that profoundly will impact the results that you get and the outcome that comes about, because you're looking at it from a different way. It's like taking a trip and doing things completely different. Imagine being a planner and planning everything right down to your seat number, and someone being spontaneous. And there's a spectrum in between too. So philosophies, belief systems, viewpoints, worldviews, perceptions, something is changing here with this lunation, and it's coming up for you to really examine. It has to do with the past in terms of healing and letting go of wounds, of beliefs, of patterns, people as well, environments, and things that you're ready to embrace. So it's as if, because again, as we will reach those points, a lot of scorpionic energy came through with this lunation, and this is about leaving behind an outdated, outmoded sense of who we are, of self, almost like dropping that skin. I kept channeling a lot of peels, like chemical peels. For anyone that has gotten them, your face starts to peel. Same thing for anyone that has gotten those foot peels. You put on those little booties and then you take them off, and after the following, week or two, your foot starts peeling and a new layer of dermis comes out. This is the same type of energy. The thing is, what I sensed here was that this creates some kind of a schism, split, or division, especially with others. So you may be feeling pulled to go for the goal, to go towards your dreams, to go towards something strongly pulling you. And it could be just an overall way of life in general that may not be met in the same way by others around you. There's something here too that kept coming up about staying down the same path as long as you align with the status quo. And this has to do with your lineage, with your family, friends, socio-cultural standards and structures, what you're supposed to do and what you think you're supposed to do. And this lunation is really bringing about the energy of embracing who you truly are. It's getting rid of the layers, hence the peeling. I kept seeing a lot of peeling messages that kept coming to me. This is about removing that, getting rid of the dry skin, the flakes, all of that. And this is metaphorically. There's a show on Netflix called Anne with an E, and it's based on the novel Anne of Green Gables. And she's an orphan that grows up and moves to Prince Edward Island in Canada during the 1800s. And something that's very unique about this young lady, Anne, is that she grows up and she is a very precocious, intelligent, unique individual. She beats to her own drum. And this automatically differentiates her. It creates almost like an othering type of effect for her. She has red hair as well. And people are very forthright with her, saying that she's not attractive. Her red hair is a blemish and not an uplifting quality for her, etc. So she's markedly depicted as someone who is an outcast. And she tries to repeatedly fit in. She tries to mold herself into the status quo. The more she does this, the more she almost separates herself, the more she distinguishes herself and highlights, hey, I'm different. And the moral of this was that I kept getting, because this was all part of the channeled messages prior to looking at the astrology. It doesn't matter what the F you do. You can continue acquiescing to people, continue being subservient to what others want for you, their own dreams, their projections, their structures, whatever it is. You will be judged no matter what. Because I kept getting with this lunation, there's a strong sense of, yes, I know what I want to do. I know what I'm feeling called to do. It simply means that pull, that nudge, and that first step. Doesn't mean you have to have everything planned out. But there's also that reticent, and we see that with the astrology. When later I was looking at the energies that I received, channeled, and the astrology. Interesting thing is, spoiler alert, and I saw the first few episodes with this show. When Anne starts conforming and staying true to her morals, her values, her beliefs, and maintaining her integrity, that's when things start to fall into place. She has an I don't give an F attitude. And that's when we see a lot of things start changing and people change their energy around her. So I won't tell more of the details, but there was something strong that kept coming through with this. So this lunation is calling you to go after your dreams. What are you going to do about them? Because something is sparking within you that's wanting to break free of something that has already ended, an outdated way of viewing something, a belief, a philosophy. This energy is also supporting you to reach the most ideal, expansive, biggest, boldest dreams. And I got the S with a capital. It wasn't just one dream. These are like all your dreams ever, and say hell yes. Even when others don't support you. That's going to be key here. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. That's in Roman mythology, right? In Greek mythology, he's known as Zeus. And Zeus ruled over Mount Olympus. He was the god of all the gods, his other siblings, and some of them became his partners, his wives. He sat atop Mount Olympus overlooking everyone and everything. And he had a lot of adventures. There's a lot more to unpack with Zeus, but he overthrew his father, Cronus, Saturn, as we know him in astrological work. And the thing is, this father figure, this authority figure in his life represented something that prevented him when he knew he wanted to grow up, right? Because it threatened his ability to even see beyond that time in his life, because there was a potential that Cronus would destroy him. And there's something here happening in your life where there's some type of similar figure, a father figure it could be, but I feel like it's more metaphorical, some type of authority figure. It could be a challenge, a blockage. It could be a belief that you have that is mirroring or being mirrored to you, especially since the lunation falls on December 12th, 12/12. So now it's your turn to go sit on your own Mount Olympus. I know this sounds cliche, but this is exactly what I channeled. And it's called Mount Insert Your Name. For example, I'll use my name, Mount Christine, but it's going to go according to what you call yourself. It's time to really dictate who you are going to allow in and who you will throw out, metaphorically, I should say. So we have the sun and the moon in Sagittarius, conjunct Mars in Sagittarius. I immediately got fire under your ass. There's going to be momentum you're going to be feeling that's burning. You know, when you get hot or you feel a candle, especially when you put your hand towards some type of fire element, you start feeling the heat. This week, I feel you're going to start feeling the heat. If you haven't already, I feel like many of you have, because of the changes we've endured over the last several cycles and months. There is something that you're going to just feel, I need to change something. I can't stop doing. I need to stop doing this. I need to, or I want to go towards this. Because usually we figure out what we truly want with what we don't want. So if you're repeatedly hearing yourself say or think, like, I don't like this, I can't stand this, this is so annoying, flip it and ask yourself, what is it about this that I don't like? Because that is the spark. That's the fire that's trying to be lit under your butt so that you can start deciphering the messages you're getting for yourself and going towards that. This energy is going to rev you up. There's an energy of like a car when you put your foot on an accelerator and you go. But it doesn't mean you're going to take full action. You just feel that innately, and it's going to have to be expressed. With fire energy, you have to express that energy in some way. Otherwise, it's going to create some type of frustration. You may get, I heard flabbergasted, but I don't feel like that's the right way. It could if you don't find that time to really work through what it is that you're getting. In short, these energies are really pushing you toward doing the emotional and physical healing work to move forward. It's an I'm going to do it vibe. So as much as you may feel a push and an inertia forward, it's not completely time to take the action. Same thing, we have the moon and the sun squaring Neptune in Pisces at 24 degrees. It's amazing when you think about and you pan out how everything works together, because Neptune went direct on the 6th of December. And we're going to have the sun squaring Neptune and gradually separating, of course, until December 25th. So during this time, this is why I said it's not the precise time to take action. You're going to get a lot of feel-good energy, a lot of, ooh, I feel the spark coming back. I feel something alive in my soul. I feel like I'm getting ready to make a shift. But you may not have everything there yet that you need. These aspects in this energy really brings up some self-doubts, insecurities, confusions. There could be, again, heightened emotional, especially insecurities and sensitivities around this. And I got smoke and mirrors, which is something I don't relate to a lot. I've heard, but I've never used this term. But I kept getting smoke and mirrors. And I feel like these energies are precisely going to help you overcome something from the past, especially since Neptune went direct, like I told you on December 6th. So think back during this retrogradation and ask yourself, what did I go through? What did I experience? What came up for me? Coming out of it, what nuggets, what new epiphanies have resulted or have come forth, especially in the Neptunian area of your life, and take a look at how it can relate to your Sagittarius aspect. There's something related here. Remember, this is all, it's like a quilt. We're weaving different parts of our lives, but they're all connected to one another. There's something here about who or what didn't work out in the way that you want. It could be a person, a place, a thing, a belief, etc., or a conglomeration. So be careful during this time of self-sabotaging, of allowing your fears to consume you, because with this with the square, especially in Neptune and in Pisces, there could be almost like an overwhelming tidal wave type of feeling, especially with this water energy. But I feel like it's more internal, coming in within, than it is outside of you. If it is outside of you, it has the potential to be folks or situations or environments that may project or mirror to you what you're feeling within. So pay attention to what you're sensing and feeling and what's coming up, especially if it doesn't feel good. Because there's something here where you may be focusing too much on the mirage, too much on perception versus reality. And there's something here about making shifts with that. You know, in cartoons, some of the cartoon characters, especially when they're in races or running away from someone, they see things that they don't. It could be, you know, a mirage of food because they're hungry, or water, or some type of city, so they're making contact with civilization. It's akin to that. And sometimes they realize, oh no, that's not really it. I don't see anything. And this energy is about, okay, I know I felt or saw something, but I'm not going to allow myself to drown in it, to over-identify with it. I always feel when we have any type of tension with Neptune in particular, there are challenges that come up, but it's the way you respond and how you feel about them, because this Neptunian energy, especially since it's in Pisces, it's asking us, what can we tap into that we don't always see, but we know is true for us? There's something here that we're feeling, but we can't identify in our earthly physical reality, or we can't always see. And it concerns not just how you live, your way of life, your belief system, but how others are in your life, the interactions you have with them, what's going on around you. Be careful of any quick schemes. There's some cautionary energy with this. Again, it's like a charlatan, get rich type of energy, those type of schemes where you're like, ooh, buy 10 donuts, get 100 free. Or, that just came to me, but it's something like that. So if you find or connect to someone or something that seems really good to be true, or you're like, something feels off, even though in the surface it doesn't, really trust yourself. This energy is about trusting in the unseen. Trusting in what you feel, even if outside everything looks normal. Your intuitive and psychic skills will be amplified during this time, and it's amazing because there's a reason why. It's for you to trust what you're feeling. But many folks, and this is a human element that we all have, we're like, wait, I don't see it. There's nothing wrong. This looks great. And then later on, we're like, oh, I should have gone with what I felt. I knew there was something off about it. This is what's coming up. And I feel like during this month of December, proceeding after this lunation, we're having this come up so that we can, it's like the universe saying, do you believe in this idea and goal? That little fire we lit under your ass. Is it enough for you to take on that feeling, that emotion, but also that belief that you can accomplish this and go forward? Almost like pop quizzes. I also kept getting with this energy, because I don't only look at the aspects in the chart and just obviously read them as they are, but I get messages intuitively about them. I saw scrunched up tissues and torn up papers. So when, and this could also be like writing too, but when you scrunch up a tissue paper or you rip up little papers and you throw it in a trash can and then you have to put it back together. There's something here you're not seeing that's going to pop up during this time. And I feel like you could feel it during this tension with Neptune, this square, with the sun-moon square Neptune. So remember, this lunation isn't the time to take action, but to sit in this darkness, to sit in those feels that don't feel uncomfortable, that don't feel comfortable, and to start making a plan, because you're going to start getting the information that you need intuitively, psychically, but also you're going to see things unfold in your reality that are going to allow you to start seeing things with greater clarity. We have the sun and moon trining the North Node in Aries. So we've got double fire with Sagittarius and Aries energy. So again, we're being guided here to take a risk on that spark or dream, to make that change. There's a profound new way in this area of your life, wherever Sagittarius rules in your life. You can also connect, if you don't precisely look at natal charts, connect to the energy of what you're feeling is needing to change, because you will know and feel it. I kept getting with this aspect that there's something strongly that your soul has always wanted to do or return to but couldn't. And this could have been in this lifetime or, years earlier, depending on how old you are, just before. But I feel like it's earlier, maybe as a young adult, maybe during your adolescent years. It could be also too as a child. Or it could be a past life. And I kept seeing there was a bookmark. When you read a book and you put some type of bookmark and you use that so you can return to it. There's something here about returning back to that place and picking back from where you left off. And the time has come. So your soul is recognizing this because you are going to feel that spark. And this is what this aspect, this trine in North Node, is allowing you to remember and recognize and tap back into. I also want to say and be very clear, this spark that I keep talking about, it doesn't have to be anything big. People often think new beginnings, something grandeur or grand or big. I have to run for presidency or run for this type of job or whatever it is. It could be something small. And again, that's relative for everyone. It could be something like, you know what? I'm finally ready to declutter my home. Maybe Sagittarius is in your 6th house or even 12th house. And you're like, you know what? I'm getting ready to really clean out the past. It doesn't have to be something big. So really lean into what you're feeling called during this time. The main point here is with this trine to the North Node, it's reminding you it's time to move on. It's time to make progress. The kitchen timer, the timer that you've set, that your soul has set, it's about to ring. So whatever you've been doing in the same way that you've done before, it's time to do it in a different way so that you can complete that, make progress, almost like you're checking off and you're moving on. I also kept seeing a sundial, and I had to Google this because you know the sundials that you've seen where they're vertical and you flip them and they're sand? I had to confirm, is that a sundial? But because that wasn't what I was seeing. I was seeing something circular, flat, perpendicular to the ground. And I kept seeing the sun's shadows. And I'm like, this originates during ancient times. And so this connects to the sundial, the clock, the original clock used by the Egyptians, the Aztecs, Mayans, Incans, and many other indigenous cultures to measure their own time. So the time of day known from the position of the shadow comes from the sun's rays. And as the sun moves, as the day progresses, you'll see their shadows that indicate the time on this. And that's the type of progress I saw here with this trine to the North Node. Remember that your sun represents in your chart a variety of different themes: your life purpose, your vitality, your energy, your soul growth, your leadership, your father figures, masculine figures. Same thing with your moon. It really focuses on your inner environment, your emotions, your mother, your feminine figures, etc. Next, we have the sun and the moon trining Chiron in Aries, and Mars trining Chiron in Aries as well. So these are also additional supportive energies during this lunation. Because again, we have beautiful energy here that's supporting you. Your soul's saying, hey, it's time to go. We're almost there. It's almost like you're at the last page of a giant ass book called your soul chapter, called life. And you're almost done and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Your soul's like, yes, you can do it. Maybe some of you have run marathons or have done something that requires endurance, something that requires patience, and keeping tabs on yourself throughout the journey and reminding yourself we're almost there. Something long-term that you may have engaged in. It could be parenting too. It's not a sprint. Parenting is something that continues, and there's different seasons, right? It's akin to this energy. You're being asked with this right now, with the trine to Chiron. There's something here that it's getting ready to be healed. It's ripening. It's almost like fruit falling off a tree. Except in this case, the healing is going to come in the form of transmutation. My apologies for my dog. With this Aries archetype too, pay attention and look to where Chiron is or sits in your natal chart, because this is also highlighting a wound that you've been working on, especially since Chiron is about to go retrograde and Chiron is about halfway through its, I was going to say shift, like working shift, through its transit. So the energy here is really emphasizing, I see you, I see the wound, I understand it now, I see what's happening. We're going to let go of this pattern and go up to the next level. There's no more lingering here because the Aries archetype is not about, oh, let's sit in this for some more time. Aries is like, hey, we got shit to do. Okay, I see you. I learned this. Let's move on. There's a sense of maturing while on the go because there's that youthful energy with Aries, right? And then Chiron, this is also speaking and pinging back to you something about the self, individuation, about what your idea of your self-concept is. What does it mean? How do you identify? Especially if you are unpacking a lot of different types of wounds. And that's a little bit beyond the scope of this, but there's a lot of things we do in connection with others, almost like a hierarchical model. For any of you that have done quantitative work, because I was a mixed methodologist in a prior life, it's like a nested model. We exist in different strata, multi-levels, if you will. We don't exist in a vacuum. So there's something here that you're coming to a close to. You see how this all works in tandem? This is also connected to the squares in Pluto happening, to the transit that Pluto's wrapping up in Capricorn. What has come up for you? Think about the repeating wounds or woundings or patterns that you've seen, especially in relationships to others and to yourself. In what areas have you self-sabotaged? What areas do you find yourself repeatedly stuck in? What about some of the patterns or situations that come up with other people? There's similar ones, and you're going to start seeing them. There's something here, Chiron is nudging you. Hey, you're almost there. You've been working through this. You're not alone. We're going to finish this. You're being asked to heal this because you're about to elevate. So think about any limiting beliefs, ways of thinking, patterns that you can let go of and change at this time, and identify those. The biggest thing in our journeys in terms of creating a different outcome for ourselves is always in our response. How can we respond differently? Because that's going to lead to the outcome, a different outcome that we're looking for. So your soul is essentially ready to close this chapter of your life, this area that's being highlighted, especially in Sagittarius, and get off this hamster wheel, especially with Chiron and the North Node involved. They're like, souls, we want to elevate. Let's go. So this is an excellent time with this lunation to clear out those cobwebs. Take time, whatever time that you can allocate for yourself. Because again, everyone is super busy. Everyone has so many things going on. It's going to depend on where you are and what priorities and responsibilities you have. Take time to simply connect with your thoughts. What's coming up for you? Some of the questions, I ask questions to you because those are reflective questions that guide you and that allow you to think deeper about yourself. And a lot of times what's in our head, what's within our energetic body, what's within our energetic bodies, if we translate that through journaling or through some type of act of expression, we're able to see things because it's on the paper, it's on the ground, it's grounded in reality. I also have here book a session. Some of you during this time, especially in between Sagittarius and Capricorn season, but with this lunation, this is an amazing time to talk to someone that you trust. It could be anyone, but you got to trust this person. You can even book a session, therapist, counselor, coach, an alternative facilitator. It could be an instructor that you connect with. Psychic, whatever it is, there's something here that's going to allow you to start identifying and see the bigger picture. It doesn't have to be, for the next 10 years. It could simply be like one session or a few sessions. But I got here, book a session. So take that as it resonates for you. The next aspect we have is Mercury in Capricorn, sextiling Venus in Scorpio. And we also have Mercury trining Jupiter in Taurus. So when you are shifting a belief system, a pattern, a way of thinking, and you start seeing new things happening, right? It's when your habits change, when your patterns change, when the way of doing something in your life starts changing, well, you're going to see something different that's going to result. It's natural. It's kind of like, oh, duh. This lunation is asking you again to turn the page because your soul wants to grow. And these energies, especially with the ones that I've already discussed, your soul is really wanting to learn new things. It's like, okay, we've scratched the surface here. It's time for the next level in our soul journey. Kind of like soul graduate school. We go through different degrees and magnitudes of learning and intensities too. Sometimes it's something quick. Other times it's like, oh, we got to spend a bit more time. Your soul wants to really expand with this lunar energy, with all the energies. There's a confluence of energies that are saying, we need to expand now. We're ready to grow. We got to get out of this limited box. And by box, I mean ways of thinking, people that are holding you back, ways in which you're not really aligning to your own truth, to who you truly are. There's something that also brings up about hiding parts of yourself. These energies that I just mentioned with Mercury trining Venus and sextiling, Venus and trining Jupiter, great time to know any particular intuitive or psychic nudges that you receive because the channels are opened here. A great time for creatively expressing or communicating with yourself and with others. Ideas are going to come through here. And I feel like, again, this happens simultaneously with some of the, I wouldn't say challenges, or just to me like pop quizzes. The squares with Neptune, that are coming up, it's connecting to something bigger, but it's allowing you to sift through what you don't want, what you do. It's almost like the universe is asking you, are you sure? Is this what you truly want? Because you have to know for yourself first what you want. You got to know your inner compass before you are going to invite other people in. Ever notice that when you start sharing your dreams with others, even well-intentioned folks, because a lot of people do this without thinking, it's very unconscious. People start telling you things and you're like, wait, I didn't ask for that. And people project based on their own experiences, based on their worldview, based on the glasses they're looking through. That's metaphorically that I'm saying this. And so there's something here about connecting to you, to yourself first. We've got Venus opposing Jupiter in Taurus. So this is a very indulgent, fun-loving energy. It's all about feeling good emotionally and physically. So again, another alignment here that's really pushing you. What doesn't feel good right now in your life anymore? It could be aesthetics. It could be something as simple as, you know what, I'm tired of wearing this. It could simply be energetic too. I was going to say energetic, energetic too. Who doesn't feel good around you? What relationships need revamping? What are you ready to close out? What habits are you tired? Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm not doing myself any favor by constantly drinking those sugared coffee drinks, or by constantly running out of the house without breakfast, or whatever it is. There's something here that's really denoting, tap into that sense of what indulgence, luxury too, means to you. It's relative. For some people, an apple is luxurious. For others, it's a date, like a prune, like the date, the fruit. So again, there's something here about really connecting to yourself, what's coming up for you. There's an embodiment element here concerning your beliefs, your values, and a spiritual connection with others, their own values, how you can meet those in the middle or reconcile that, and also your possessions, anything Venusian theme and Jupiterian. Something wants to grow here, but that means that there also has to be some level of communication and openness in order for this to expand in the way that you want. We have Neptune at 24 degrees, a sextiling Pluto. So this is another aspect that really, a lot of aspects here, it's like they're all coming together in a dance, and they're like, yes, we are going to help support souls during this time. Really start cleaning away any old patterns, any wounds. So anything that's been lingering, anything that you're feeling, you know what, this doesn't ping at me anymore. It doesn't hurt me as bad, or I feel like it didn't. You know, you're going to celebrate that moment. I feel like for many, you've seen this pop up where things that used to bug you, they don't. You have a completely different response and reaction to them. Some of you may be like a duck. Whatever. You move on from it. Others, you're like, you know what? I felt the ping, but the ping wasn't as harsh. This is a great time with these energies, with Neptune and Pluto together, the sextile, to explore alternative healing practices. I got any form of divination, occult, astrology, any alternative therapy, like seeking an astro spiritual therapist, or a therapist who may be, again, there's so many different types of traditional psychology and psychiatry and whatever it is you need, because they have different needs and they do different things, though some overlap. You may want to look at a Jungian therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist and work with them, or someone who does work with internal family systems, or acceptance and commitment therapy, or someone who does Eastern Western work, whatever. There's something here about exploring things that are a little bit different, but that connect you on a deeper soul spiritual level. And it's also going to help open up that door to explore anything that's residual, anything that's coming up and you're like, I'm ready and I want to clean that out. Some of the revelations that you have experienced and have gotten from Neptune's retrograde are going to be used to facilitate this process, by the way. That came up strongly here. It's a deeply mystical and transformative within, an inner transformative time. It's akin to soul journeying. So tap into Neptune's higher expressions of compassion, oneness, unconditional love, forgiveness too. There's a spiritual beauty and consciousness coming through here that's going to help transform you. It's going to help transform something within yourself and also the way you relate to others. This is the last bit because I feel like with Pluto involved, this is something that's been ongoing. And it could be something that's been like a thorn on your side. And you're coming to that point as Pluto exits out of Capricorn especially, of some type of resolution, which is going to mean something different for everyone. It could simply mean making peace and accepting a strong sense of radical acceptance here, or it could mean actually changing something within a dynamic. It's going to be vastly different for everyone, but you're being asked to connect to yourself in a very profound, deeply spiritual way, something higher than you, something that allows you to really get inside those deeply hidden parts of yourself, those inner vaults, as I call them. Excuse me, the North Node in Aries conjunct Chiron. Next, we have the North Node in Aries conjunct Chiron in Aries. Strong elements of fire here, but I kept getting it. We have Aries and also Scorpionic energy, so a lot of Martian energy here with this lunation, and Sagittarius is also a fire sign. So there's a strong push to eradicate, to let go of, to complete old cycles of hurts, of pains, of not carrying them on. You're being called with this alignment to heal yourself, because every person is going to have their unique their unique way of doing so. It's like your own medicine. The Aries energy here in this alignment, it's allowing you to make a path for yourself as a sovereign human being, to assert yourself in the way that you feel that best resonates with you, what you believe in, and to take action towards that. So that's where the differences are going to vary between people. So it's important during this time not to look to others and say, okay, what they did is going to work for me, but feel what is being called. What am I sensing that I should do? Because you know when certain transits happen in your life, especially ones that are probably affecting more of your personal planets, but you'll feel pulls to finally do something or do something different. This is what's happening here. And the biggest hiccup that I see is differentiating, undoing, separating yourself from others' own projections, belief systems, frameworks, their own shit, and realizing this isn't yours. It's not yours to carry. It's not yours to embrace. It's not yours to be responsible for. So for some of you, this is going to mean cutting umbilical cords, energy cords, energetic cords or ties with some folks, with also some belief systems and patterns. Don't look to others for who you are, for your sense of self, for how you can heal, because what works for other people may not work for you. It's interesting. For some people, traditional psychotherapy works. For others, it doesn't do anything. Nature for others works. Sometimes people work with equine animal therapy and they're like, that saved me. For others, it was their daily walk or their swim. It's going to be very different. And Aries is about going on this adventure with yourself, this journey on the most basic superficial level that I'm using this archetype right now, and finding what is true for you. What are you going to put in that little backpack of yours? Because everyone is going to bring something different. The best way to utilize a lot of this energy that's coming up at this lunation, it's about healing and finally making the decision, what can I do differently? How can I continue this story so that it doesn't continue to hurt me? So there's elements too of, okay, maybe I need a little bit more time here. Maybe I need to consult, like I mentioned previously, someone or something different so that I can make progress in a way that's going to optimize my journey instead of staying stuck. Maybe changing support groups, changing therapists, starting therapy work, going and working with someone in the alternative modality, or with someone who deals with divination, or whatever it is. Maybe it's getting a pet. There's something here that you need to start unpacking for yourself and creating for yourself that's going to come from you, that you're writing for yourself. So this lunation really highlights your life path in so much as that it connects to your life force energy, that spark within you. Because all of those answers that we seek outside of ourselves, they come from with you. And a lot of this is personalized. It's a personal prescription for you. Hey guys, week ahead, I wanted to peek ahead because the lunation, it's not just, again, it doesn't exist and the energies aren't contained just on the day that it perfects. And so as you see, a lot of these energies start to separate and to unfold. We see the moon. Obviously the moon shifts and changes signs pretty quickly. It doesn't stay in one sign for a week, usually every 2 to 3 days. We see the moon bumping into the nodes, Jupiter, Uranus, and Mars in the subsequent week ahead. So she's like, okay, time to get it on. We're going to clear this energy, so why not do it this way? So for me, I kept getting these are pop quiz energies. So really feel into the week as the days in the week continues on after the new moon on the 12th. These energies are asking you, hey, are you sure you want to continue? Excuse me, are you sure you want to continue doing this in the same way that you've done? Do you want to continue living this way? Do you want to continue approaching life in this way, or believing this, or even embodying this? Because these are, for me, pop quizzes always reminding you, almost like poking at you, is this what you truly want? Throughout the week from December 13th through the 16th, obviously, like I mentioned, we have the moon shifting from Capricorn into Aquarius and squaring the nodes. So again, more emotional insecurity and fears are coming up. But when this happens, it's important not to over-identify with these things that are coming up. As humans, we identify and say, these are so negative, but they're speaking to you. They're asking you, wait, does this still bug you? Are you still scared of something here? Is there still a wound here that you need to recognize, deal with, or acknowledge? What here can you move past? Because the point of many of these difficult aspects, at least in the way that I connect to these energies, is for you to change something, to respond, to grow, because these energies are supporting you to grow. That's it. When the moon ingresses into Aquarius, it's going to square Jupiter. And so there's, again, something about your beliefs being challenged. Whatever it is that you decide, you may feel you're not going to get support. And that's a theme that's been coming up. There's also a huge theme about going in silence and not announcing this, which kind of goes against some of the more jubilant, optimistic Sagittarian energy. Because Sagittarius wants to have fun with others at the most basic level, connect, share in this joy and faith in something bigger, and expand and learning together. But I feel like with some of the energies coming through, there's a lot of behind the scenes working through your wounds, working through traumas, unpacking that, closing the door, but also realizing this is what I truly want to do. And maybe it's at this point, I announce it to myself. I talk to myself about it. That's why I kept getting book a session. Some of you may, and it could simply mean booking a session with yourself, getting a diary or journal and putting all your thoughts. Because I feel like when you start sharing the truth of what you want, especially as how you've grown, how you've changed, other people may not fall into line with that, especially people closest to you. And it may not, what's the right word to say? It may almost drain the optimistic feel that you had, and that's not the point of this. So just remember, when you feel something or someone is challenging you, flip it and ask, well, what is this teaching me? What is this showing me? Do I really want this? Hell yeah. Okay, well, they're challenging me because maybe it's the universe asking me, do you really want this? Okay, we're going to stay committed. We're going to be patient. It's also showing you too, some people you may not be able to share your dreams, your hopes with, because they're working through their own shit. Just imagine humans. We got one human, ourselves, and then we got other humans and more. And to me, they're like furballs of emotions. There's a lot. So everyone's on their own journey. And so you're going to know quickly where people are at and the way that they respond and support you. Throughout this lunation and the days, weeks preceding afterwards, it's going to be very important to trust what you're feeling, not what you're seeing, because that's where the discrepancy is going to occur. And that's where a lot of folks start reneging on themselves, because they look outside of themselves to see what's true and what's not, and it's going to be within you. Okay, you all. There were a lot of, you see, the aspects were pretty straightforward, but there were a lot of energy and messages that I got surrounding these. Let's move on to the degree theory. So this lunation is happening at 20 degrees and 40 minutes. So 20 degrees. Some round up. I don't with degree theory. With Sabian symbols, I do. So again, degree theory was developed by the Serbian astrologer Nikola Stojanovic. Not everyone aligns with this. For me, it's important that there's fluidity. There's a lot of synchronicities that have been coming up with these themes. And this is a scorpionic degree point. And I kept getting that because these themes highlight purification of the soul, letting something go. It's almost like floating up. You reach the abyss, maybe on Earth, the deepest part of the oceans. I believe it's the Mariana Trench, right? If I'm remembering correctly from my studies. We'll just say the deepest part of the world. Think of the abyss, the darkness of the ocean. You've reached some part of that. For many, that could represent rock bottom, pain, healing, that you're coming out, and now you're floating back up towards the light. Very Sagittarian, but also Scorpionic at the same time. And so there's a rebirth process to this and a creative energy. So in what area of your life, again, have you grown and there's more to learn from? Or you feel like you've completed your lessons? Because there's something here where your soul's like, okay, we've done everything we could here. Time to move on. Something there wants to be ended and something wants to be started or restarted. And I got restarted repeatedly throughout this research, but also through the messages that I was channeling, because there's something that's connected to the past, like I mentioned before. And some of you are, I kept getting to, I'm like, how do I put this in? But some of you are psychic or coming into the awareness that your psychic gifts are becoming more sharper, fine-tuned, attuned, amplified. Because I kept seeing psychic mediums, occultists, seances, and ancestral work. So your next puzzle piece is floating from within this process of floating on from the abyss and letting go. These are some of the themes associated with the 20 degrees, the Scorpionic degree point. We have rivers, near river banks, resources shared, sex, intercourse, eroticism, pregnancy, birth, delivery, toilet, restroom, to release, cemeteries, death, dying, shelters, cellars, basements. You see the connection? A lot of these are dark places, or maybe solitary areas where you may find things that are stored. We also have operation, surgeon, surgery, rotted, destroyed, decayed, forensics, pathology, genitalia, bladder, urine. A lot of like release, letting go energy here. A grave, skeleton, corpse, a bully and abuser, someone else's property, a life threat, death themes, trash, garbage, litter, premeditated acts, to plot. So there is a lot that's being excavated with this energy, with this lunation, I should say, because there's simultaneous things that are unfolding. And this has to do with making some type of acceptance, some type of peace, some types of, it could be your own inner reconciliation, saying to yourself, okay, we've been dealing with this, perhaps toiling in this for a long time, and we are ready to move on to this, or from this, I should say, and start this new chapter. It's deep. Some of this has been ongoing for quite some time, and your soul's like, that's it, we're floating back up. The Sabian symbol of Sagittarius, it's at 20 degrees and 40 minutes. So rounding up, it's 21 degrees. And we have a child and a dog wearing borrowed eyeglasses. So this symbol implies the ability, and I'm going to read to you the excerpt here, the message from the Sabian symbol. So these are the words from or connected to this symbol. The symbol implies the ability or the necessity of indulging in playing, pretending, and make-believe as an escape or indulgence in fantasy. Play and fantasy are very important and can lighten up one's life, and playing with pets, dogs especially, can be great fun. Sometimes it pictures a situation of people pretending to be something that they are not. Perhaps someone is pretending to be in control or to be smarter than they are. Sometimes, though, this can work to make a consciousness shift. Eye strain can occur, especially if you don't want to see what's going on or prefer a pretend scenario instead of real life. You get the square Neptune energies here. Emulation leading to actualization. The rewards in make-believe. Pets, dog obedience training, pantomimes, dress-ups, perceptions of each other, glasses, prescriptions, deliberately fooling others with false impressions. The blind leading the blind, not seeing people for who they are, goofing around too much, not growing up. The takeaway here is that there's something hugely creative, different. I kept getting inner child too. something from, again, that's where the past is connecting here, past life or something early in your life. For some, it's going to be during your childhood. That's wanting to be birthed or rebirthed and explored again. I feel like some of you may have been admonished or criticized, especially when you were younger, for wanting to pursue this. It could be a way of life, a way of thinking, something tangible, maybe in what you wear, how you dress, the way you look, the way you see life, the way you go through life, or something that you want to pursue. I also kept getting the past because it was also connected to this message that you may have been criticized for this because whatever it is, like I just mentioned, that you really embraced and wanted to get going or wanted to go after or connect with, it was considered or it was not becoming of your stature, your position, or lineage in that lifetime. Or it had something to do, because strong lineage, family tree elements kept coming up. So there's some type of philosophy, belief system, structure, way of living. It could also be religion or the way that you were brought up that existed in a certain vacuum, in a certain box. And so anything outside of it, even a toe, it was like, no, can't do that. So there's something here about moving beyond those perceptions. And we got dogs. I also got some of you are opening up or are animal communicators or channelers. Some of you may find incredible peace and may connect during this time in Sag. You may, because I kept getting a lot of animals connecting to them. You may get a service animal, an emotional support animal, a pet. You may expand your pet. They may be your kids. You may consider them your kids. I consider them. I have a human kid, but I also have animal kids. There's something here about animals because animals here, they offer us unconditional love. Many of them are soul guides, soul mates for people in this lifetime. So there's something about connecting to that. The numerology of 20 and 1212, because this lunation occurs on December 12th. So when we look at this and we break it apart, immediately I got spiritual harmonization and inner balance with the outer coming together. The 2 represents harmony. And I always ask people before you even start Googling or researching, just ask yourself, what does 2 mean to me? We see pairs, relationships. It could be romance, love, diplomacy, sometimes some type of mediation, harmony, balance, right? They work in tandem with one another, like our lungs, our bladders, our kidneys, not our bladders, we got one. So there's something here dealing with those essences, those elements. Then we have 0. And intuitively, you're going to get these messages. That's why I ask. It's so important. These are ways to strengthen your own intuition. You can think if many of you are aware of or familiar with the tarot card or tarot in general, the first card is 0. That's the Fool card. That's the Aries energy. 0 is a restart, beginning, spiritual consciousness. It deals with philosophy, viewpoints, ways of life as well, opportunities, a potential for something, and also whole or oneness. Think of the shape. It's also connected, right? Circular. It keeps continuing. So there's an evolutionary energy too. Other themes associated with this numerologically include teamwork and service. Again, higher spiritual calling or to self and actualization of that in this lifetime. We got emotional intelligence, which if any of you tapped into the previous lunation video I did with the full moon in Gemini, you know that one of the channeled messages that I got was about up-leveling your emotional intelligence, emotional quotient. So these energies are all connected. Emotional intelligence and adaptive leadership was also emphasized here. Diplomacy, negotiation. I also got learning to be a spiritual vagabond. It doesn't mean that all of you are going to be on the road with your backpack traveling, because not everyone wants to do that. This is more a spiritual metaphysical concept that came. It's about creating and following your own belief systems, your own paths, because in order to do something differently, you're going to adopt some type of different way of thinking about doing that. I think I said that the long way. So there's a higher level of emotional intelligence coming through. You've grown, you've matured in different ways. Some of you have matured in a way and have grown in a way that's very different than the existing structures in which you've grown up in. Have to say that. There's people involved in this. This is also about learning to hold space for others and their beliefs that may not support you, especially those folks in the closer perimeter or perimeters to your life, your nuclear family, people that are near to you. friends that are close to you, etc. We're talking about when you look at those concentric circles, those that are very close to you that you deal with day in, day out. They may not support you, but the point here is to simply accept and continue embracing what's true for you. In other words, it's about saying, yes, I'll support you and listen to you, but I won't make or take your own ideas, philosophies, beliefs, what you want to do in life as my own. Because some people may try to push that onto you. And that's where we start seeing the disappointment, the disillusions, where we can see those discrepancies happen and we're like, oh, why do I not feel happy? A lot of times it's because we're not listening to ourselves. It's like little kids when they don't listen to their parents. They're like, it's time for bed. And they're like, You know that frustrating battle that ensues if you have parents, right? if your parents, excuse me, or if you've ever watched kids or whatever the dynamic, if you've ever been around kids like that. Kids are very strong-willed and resolute. So for some of you, this lunation and what I was getting with this numerology, especially since we have the 2 and the 0, it's about learning. It's about learning to take full responsibility for yourself in an adulting energy type of way. So some of you are unpacking what it means to exist within a family dynamic, within a family tree, a structure. It could be your roots, your origins, or simply connecting to that energetically, your nuclear family, and what that means to you right now in existence if you're not part of that, and how to do that as your own sovereign, autonomous being while still connected to that unit. So some of you, I got 2. Some of you may have physically moved out or left the nest. You are an adult, but emotionally you're still connected to some past lineage, family. There's an umbilical cord, something. Perhaps it's just something that you've always accepted and thought, this is the way that my family did it. This is the way I need to do it. Or this is the way that I've always learned. And you didn't know any differently, but there's something your soul is wanting you with this lunation. It's like, we got to do things differently. And so ever notice when you have the same mindset and you try to do things differently, it doesn't work out? It's like that mindset. The best way I can think of is folks that want to get in shape or want to lose some weight. People that look at food as good or bad, as, okay, I won't eat this. They start putting restrictions. That's where you start to get into trouble with some things because the mindset hasn't shifted, because eating in a different way is a huge lifestyle change, and usually you do it in increments. You don't demonize food or dichotomize food as good or bad, right? Of course, there's some foods that are probably more optimal, like maybe protein, fresh fruits and vegetables, rather than fast foods, junk food, etc. But it's that energy. I'm bringing up that example precisely for the energy. So this is an energy the numerology really highlights accepting where others may be, more importantly, still connecting to what feels true for you, even if you don't get that support. The 12-12 energy, because this lunation is happening on December the 12th, I saw that and I'm like, there's a mirroring effect happening right away here. Observe and pay attention to how people respond, what is coming up around you, what they tell you, and try your best not to be reactive, especially if you're feeling a certain pain or a certain way. Just observe. Observe and don't do or say anything, because it's telling you something about this. And I feel like this has to do with remnants that you're healing, things that may be holding you back. Like people, you may repeatedly be retelling a story because of things you've experienced from the past, something traumatic about you can't do this, there's no way because of X, Y, and Z, or you don't have this skill, whatever it is. There's a lot that's coming through. It's telling you something. And this is the part that wants to be healed, because it has to do with you ascribing and holding onto the reins of your belief system and saying, wait, this is my carriage, my horse is my belief, this is my trajectory. It's not that anymore. Because when you let go of the reins in a carriage, I'm talking like I have a carriage. I've never been on one of those. The ones from maybe the 1800s, 19th century, they have reins. But when you let go, generally, I think the horses are attached in some way, but it creates a loss of control. And this is all energetic. So the horses no longer have someone guiding them. And you let go and you're like, this isn't real for me. This isn't the right way or the right way forward for me anymore. This is what I'm sensing. So pay attention during this time. Again, what pings are still coming up for you, what is feeling a little bit off or something that doesn't feel good, because that's where it's speaking to you. These energies are telling you, okay, these are something to look at so we can heal this and move on. Okay, you all, we're moving on to the channeled messages. If you still made it here, thank you so much for your patience. I got a lot of messages with this particular lunation, perhaps because Sagittarius rules over my third house of communication and of sharing and disseminating information and knowledge and teaching. There's a lot I got, and I feel like this is going to connect to a lot of folks across different generations. You'll see why in a sec. I won't repeat the energy that I got here, but it was from the beginning about the peeling energies and about making way for something new. Because we've experienced and gone through massive accelerated transformation, especially inner transformation in the last 2.5 months. I would say since about September. And that's not to say anything preceding that wasn't, no. But especially within this time frame, it's just felt like back to back things. This energy that I kept channeling is akin to perhaps plastic surgery or a facelift. And again, I'm saying this energetically. I've never gotten one. I'm not promoting it. I don't know what it's like, but we often think, what is the after going to look like? Because you know what the before looks like, but who is this new being? What new energies have been elevated? Because that's what keeps coming through. And I kept seeing a baby wipe. Whenever I see baby wipes, for me, it has nothing to do with babies. It's about something fresh. You know, when you open a container of something new, you open that first box of cereal and it's like amazing. You open baby wipes and the top layer is usually saturated, it's moist, they're good. And as you get towards the bottom, it starts becoming drier, it's not the best wipe, etc. It's that energy. See, the energy here to me throughout this lunation is we're peeling back something from the past, from the old, something that we're connected to. Some of us are going to disconnect from certain energies, belief systems, mindset. Doesn't mean you're going to be like, see you later to those people. Not everyone will, but you are disconnecting in some way to differentiate yourself and to individuate yourself with this Aries archetype that's being called, because we have prominent Aries and Scorpio, both ruled by Mars. And we have obviously Sagittarius, Jupiter ruled. Something about peeling away the old, embracing the new with ferocity, vitality, and massive ass optimism. So be careful. I kept getting here as well. Some of you have been recycling or reusing the same baby wipe. Please, this is metaphorical. Wherever your mind goes, that's on you, but it has nothing to do with like gross images. Some of you have literally been repeating certain patterns or themes because there's fears and there's insecurities, perhaps being projected onto you by others, but also some of you as a way to keep yourself safe. I kept channeling strong Pluto and Scorpio generation. So for folks that were born between 1983 and 1995, or you may have had pivotal shifts in your life during this time. You could have been from another generation. There's something here. There's something, some of you tuning in, again, may have been part of this, but there's some theme that is returning or connecting. Strong scorpionic theme. Okay, now onto the songs. I channeled a lot. We're going to explore just a few of the songs a little bit deeper, but I'm going to list all of the songs below because there's something in the messages, the vibrations of the notes, the frequency, the sounds for you, and it's going to connect to people differently. Always look beyond the meaning of the lyrics, because sometimes I'll hear love songs and it has nothing to do with love at the time that you are receiving the messages. First song that I channeled, the Bangles, Eternal Flame. So the backstory, it was interesting. I kept getting something fresh, like the baby wipe energy that I kept repeating. And the lead singer of this group, the Bangles, Susanna Hoffs, she recorded this song apparently. She recorded it in the nude, so she was naked. And when I did my research on this song, she said, quote, I imagined it would feel like skinny dipping, vulnerable yet freeing, and I decided to try it, quote, unquote. Did I say that right? Anyways, that was her quotation. She recorded the entire album where the song was a part of, which was called Everything in 1988, in the nude. So another theme with this lunation is about empowerment and liberation of self, especially with the nude, naked aspects. Something regenerating, something being rebirthed, something that's new that's wanting to come out through. But I also kept getting a lot of Bee Gees. Some of you may have grown up in the 60s, 70s. That may have been some highlight in your life or something significant that has happened. The Bee Gees, I Started a Joke, that was released in 1968. The Platters, The Great Pretender, 1955. Heart, These Dreams, 1985. James Taylor, Fire and Rain, 1970. Lesley Gore, You Don't Own Me, 1963. A lot of these songs, when I listen to them from start to end, they're about the realization of dreams that haven't come true. That's where the connection from the past life I kept channeling earlier. It's about picking up. Some of you are picking up from previous lifetimes, if that aligns to your belief system, or you're picking up from something earlier in this lifetime, in this incarnation. You have some dreams that were never realized. And that may precisely mark that division, that schism that I talked about earlier in your life, that will separate you energetically, or no, let me say, that will separate you philosophically or in terms of your belief systems, where people that are close to you, they're like, what? You believe this, or you want to do this? And you're like, well, we don't. And it's simply about saying that's okay. We don't have to believe in those same things. The energy of Sagittarius here is supporting you to go all in because you have a strong spiritual connection to your soul to turn the page. So this is the bookmark energy I got earlier about returning to something. So pay attention to what comes up. Some of you are going to start connecting a lot of little kid energy here. Perhaps that's why the baby wipes, even though I'm not seeing babies, a lot of little kid energy coming up. For some of you, it could mean you are connecting to a lot of kids. You'll start coming into a lot of little kid energy, and they're going to reflect to you and give you messages that you need to hear. They're not going to be like, I have a message for you. It's going to come with the interaction. Same thing if you have kids. For any of you that are parents, our kids are our greatest teacher. And if you've ever learned how much you heal when you have a child, you will learn because kids are like their mirrors. They show you everything you don't want to see about yourself and everything that you love about yourself. So pay attention to kids, and they don't have to be yours. They can be ones around you. Again, you take care of them, family related, friends, whatever. Take a look at your inner child as it goes back to when you were in childhood, and take a look at things that you love doing. And it doesn't have to be specific, where you may have loved constructing certain things together, maybe building Legos, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that professionally now. There's something that's connected to that creative, expressive, very intuitive energy, and it has to do with your way of life, way of thinking, way of doing. There's a lot more freedom, a lot more ability to simply be who you were at that age, and some of you are tapping back into that. Another song, The Land Before Time. It's a movie from 1988, and Diana Ross sang I think the song came at the beginning, If We Hold On Together. And I listened to this, and Littlefoot is the dinosaur, the long neck, who is on a journey to go out, almost like the Fool's Journey, to go out and find the Great Valley because they experienced an earthquake and some other cataclysmic type of events. And there were deaths. Many of the dinosaurs, their little kid dinosaurs, they were separated from their families. And he goes on a journey to reunite with his grandparents because his mother died after a T-Rex battle. The T-Rex kills her. Ooh, I get goosebumps listening to this. And so there's something here, perhaps because there's a lot of energies too that I've channeled from cartoons. She tells him, and I link all of this below, you guys, so you can listen to this because you are going to get your own messages too. She tells him, let your heart guide you. It whispers, so listen closely. And he is guided by his mama throughout his journey. He listens to her. He's a young Littlefoot, a young dinosaur. And he and his dinosaur buddies traverse many obstacles to get to the destination that they need to. And sometimes they find that these challenges set them back. Littlefoot, you'll see in the movie, he experiences times of just emotional distress. He's crying. He misses his family. He misses his mom. Something that's being highlighted here is how Littlefoot stuck to his beliefs, his mother's words, his intuition. And I looked up the meaning of Littlefoot because I kept getting a nudge to do so. And I couldn't find anything, but I found one article that said that this name, Littlefoot, in Sanskrit meant the first step. So again, there's a lot of synchronicities here. There's something about taking the first step towards what your heart is calling you to go after. In the Sagittarius areas of your life, it's going to be very different, again, for everyone. Parts of the lyrics that resonated here for me that I want to relay include, don't lose your way. With each passing day, you've come so far, don't throw it away. Live believing. Dreams are for weaving. Wonders are waiting to start. Live your story, faith, hope, and glory. Hold to the truth in your heart. If we hold on together, I know our dreams will never die. I so want to sing this, but you don't want to hear me sing. Dreams see us through to forever, where clouds roll by for you and I. I connected to ancestors in the previous full moon in Gemini video, and I'll link it if any of you want to go back to reference that. And I feel like this connects to the next full moon in Cancer we have 2 weeks after this new moon in Sag. Some of you are being guided by ancestors strongly, or a particular ancestor, and this is something that's being resolved, transmuted, healed within your lineage. There's, again, remember the different weaves, patterns, the quilt reference I made? This is it. Some of you are being asked to really connect to your own truth, your own philosophy, and that's going to shift and heal your own lineage in some way. There's something here about having faith, especially for energies that I'm connecting to. Many of you have experienced a lot. That's an understatement. A lot of obstacles. Some of you have been alone on this journey, on this trajectory. Some of you, I feel like, I've had to constantly renew what faith, what hope, what your dreams look like. And this is a message I get strongly here. Each part of our life that we're redirected, we're simply taking the next step, that first step. So in essence, in other words, we're all always starting physically, right? We're always taking steps. But a lot of us already have that knowledge, those skills, the previous wisdom that we've learned in different parts of our life to carry forward. So that's how we grow in new ways. It's kind of like a pot. I keep seeing like the plants. When you have a tree and it's a little stem, I don't know what they call it, seedling, a little leaf thing. And obviously the tree is going to grow really big. So you gradually move it from different containers until one day it goes into the earth, maybe outside your home. It's like that. So with the song and with the energies of this lunation, I feel like what it's asking you is something that may be very scary because it's not known. It's something that's never been done. Let me lower this computer because the glare is strong, because it represents a past from the break. And we get that with the Plutonian energy involved. Again, this is part of Pluto's transit in Capricorn, which has been ongoing since 2008. And this has been a big one. And we are coming to the end of the cycle. So something connected to your lineage, your family, tradition, status quo, something familiar, you're being asked to break away from that. And it's simply about doing things differently. That's it. It doesn't mean you're going to say goodbye to them or whomever. It's that mindset shift. This also speaks to your connection to the divine, to the universe, to God, to your ancestors, or a leading ancestor in particular who's guiding you. Perhaps a feminine energy or mother figure, because that came through strongly for me. Anyways, this movie, The Land Before Time, it was released during Scorpio season on November 18, 1988. And what's interesting is Littlefoot attracts a lot of folks during his journey, and he connects to others really easily. You too will on your journey when you align to what you feel is your truth. What you feel, this is where I'm going, this is what feels good to me. That's why I talked a lot about all these other things preceding. I won't rehash it. Because as soon as you click and you align, that's when the other energies start coming through. Because if you've ever pretended, and sometimes we do that without realizing it. So if you pretend to be a certain way, to believe a certain something, you adopt a framework when it's not truly yours, you'll attract people, but who believe that framework. So you may have felt that disconnect, like, whoa, these people aren't my people, or this job isn't my job, or what I'm doing doesn't feel right. So that's where the truth of connecting to your own belief systems, your core values, is going to be important here, because that's when you're going to start getting people that support you, just like they supported Littlefoot on his journey. They're going to support you on your journey. You will also get to your family. And I had this in quotes, like Spike did. He was one of the dinosaurs. He lost all his family and he became an orphan. So he lived with, I think it was Sarah's family. She was the dinosaur with the horn here. I forgot what the dinosaurs were called, but they adopted him. Some of you are going to come into fruition with your own family. And that's going to be the way you define it. It doesn't have to be blood. Ever notice that whenever you are truly in resonance with something, things just flow and you connect with people and it just feels so different and good? That's what's it being indicated with this movie and song. It's about having faith and hope and optimism and listening to yourself, connecting to your spirituality, to your belief systems. Some of you are working with a guide or with an ancestor right now because you have something bigger here that you may not see at this moment. You know, I usually don't deep dive, but there was a lot of information here that I kept being pointed to look further, and this is Scorpionic energy, the PI investigator energy. The creators of The Land Before Time, Judith Freudberg, she was a Cancer sun, and Tony, is it Geiss? G-E-I-S-S. He was a Scorpio sun, Pluto in Cancer. So to me, there's something about resolving something from the past, breaking free from a link, and you're helping to heal. Many of you are helping to heal your lineage. The next song we got was Cinderella's A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes. So I would suggest watching just storyline. There's a brief excerpt from the movie that I'm clipping below and see what comes up for you, because something that is fascinating was that Cinderella caught on to what moving in silence meant. And she kept her dreams to herself because during the song, the birds asked her and she said, can't tell, because if you tell a wish, it won't come true. And the dream that you wish will come true. So this is something I circled back earlier about animal communication and the amplification of intuitive psychic skills. Some of you are coming into that with this lunation, especially with animals. So pay attention to the messages, the animals that are around you. Also, this brings to mind too, some of the dreams that you may have are they feel good to you, they're exciting. This may be a time where you work in silence and you move in silence and you don't announce to anyone things that are maybe different, things that you're wanting to do, and you just do them. This is the energy, because as you do them, as you accomplish them, that's when people are going to see the fruition. They're going to see you accomplish that. This is also connected to Neptune going direct, moon square Neptune. So for some folks, think back to what, again, you've learned during the Neptune retrograde, because this dream is about to come to fruition that is connected to a past life of yours that you didn't finish, or something earlier in your life, like I mentioned. There's also a lot of repetitive themes from childhood coming up. So when you try to re-engage in this energy, just think back what themes have come up. I got a lot of heart chakra activations being stirred up that are happening and being reactivated. Inner child dreams as well. Another song that I heard was Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. So many people have heard this with the movie Titanic from 1997. This was released during Sagittarius season. So there's something about going back in time, because you're going to find it there. This one was Freddie Mercury, In My Defense. He was the lead singer of Queen. This channeled song really amplified Freddie's own energetic soul print, because this song was released after his death, or posthumously, during Sagittarius season on November 30th, 1992. It's interesting, a lot of the songs I channeled, there's a reason why I needed to go deeper and research them, because I don't research this stuff for songs. And by the way, I want to make a disclaimer, all the links I provide for you, I don't get anything out of it. I'm providing it merely for reference. If you want, Google it yourself or look another way, but I'm just linking them, that's it. So one of the lyrics that really stood out here, because I had to listen to the songs and look at the lyrics again. Caught in between with a fading dream. Caught in between with a fading dream. Oh, what on earth? Oh, what on earth? How do I try? Do we live or die? Oh, help me, God, please help me. The lyrics have such a profound, strong connection to something, again, from the past. Something that's coming up. It's that spark, that life that's being asked to be resurrected, to be brought to life again. Take that as it resonates. I won't go too into detail, because I feel like there's a lot of unpacking. There's a lot of existential questions about what it means for you, a lot of epistemological questions about, was this from other lives that weren't realized? Some of you may want to, again, seek out alternative modalities, or you may already know simply by connecting to yourself, because we all have access to this. I want to just be upfront. There's a huge spiritual profundity, like I said, that's being revealed here. Remember Sagittarius? The sign Sagittarius, the archetype, is represented or ruled by Zeus or Jupiter. And he's the god of all gods and rules over Mount Olympus, watches over everyone, likes to have fun, sometimes too much fun. But Sagittarius energy connects to those higher realms, right? Mount Olympus is way up in the heavens, if you will. So there's something about higher spiritual truths, development, evolution, consciousness, and growth that our soul is wanting to aim for, to reach for. And this is about connecting to different strata, making sense about the meaning of life. Like I said, there was something existential that kept coming through. And interestingly, I don't do this for all singers as you're seeing. Freddie's birth chart, I was asked to dive into this, and I'm like, oh, okay. This lunation was opposite his natal Uranus at 21 degrees of Gemini and his north node at 16 degrees in Gemini. So I feel like this message for all of us is happening through this song in my defense. And this is about defining your own path, reclaiming your own sovereignty as a soul being. No matter what has happened, no matter where you are in your life, no matter if you feel like it's too late, no matter what other people say to you, have said to you, past, present, or future. This is following who you truly are. It's that naked feel that we got with the Bangles, Eternal Flame, and also that baby wipe. This is how you see yourself, how you act, how you truly are when you are by yourself. It's interesting because, you know, when you're just comfortable with someone, that's your true nature. When you come out and are goofy and act the way you are, it's like I'm getting a Tigger energy. It has nothing to do with being introverted or extroverted. It's just emulating your soul's authentic, genuine nature. That's your true soul spark, your true essence that's coming forth. It's about living too by that truth, by that philosophy, by your beliefs. So no matter how eclectic, eccentric, unique, out there that you may perceive yourself to be or that you may feel things are, the greater the divergence or discrepancy between the status quo and the traditional path and your own path, the greater the risk there's going to be. And so, again, what's coming up here is you're being pulled towards what's you, not what was or what you've been following. You're being you're going back home spiritually, metaphorically here, to what is true for you. This song also brought the energy too of feeling misunderstood, of amplifying any insecurities precisely because of feeling misunderstood, not supported, feeling like you're alone. You're meant to consolidate your emotional power here. Again, this connects to the emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, emotional leveling up that I discussed with the full moon in Gemini video. This is also about opting for a path not taken. There may not be footprints in front of you. That's the thing. I feel like some of you were doing something in a past life or early in your life that you really wanted to pursue, something that happened, anything, and you couldn't. And this is about creating this path for yourself and for others behind you that are coming after you. In other words, these are new sets of belief systems, philosophies, ways of life that are emerging and reconciling with your soul language that wants to be born. Sagittarius wants you to break free from others' constraints, real, imagined, energetic, or likewise, into this personal soul discourse that's calling you. It got very philosophical, existential for me as I started to unpack this. Message number 1, unwrap a new bar of soap. This was the first message. This is about starting at the beginning. Some of you have to go back to the beginning, to the start, and ask yourself, what do I believe in? And then how do you get to that point? What do you care about? What matters to you? What really lights up your soul? What doesn't? A lot of times to figure out what we do want, we have to figure out what we don't want, what we're not happy with, what is dragging us down, what we don't want to repeat or endure again. Because this is going to allow you to differentiate and to determine your core values and what truly matters to you, and to also start creating, establishing, fomenting, nourishing, cultivating, and developing your own way of being, especially for those of you that may have been part of a family system, a structure, could be cultural norms, etc. There's so many different systems, you could say levels of oppression as well, but different frameworks that were thrown upon you or built around you, almost fortified, where you may not have been able to express yourself in the way that you want. And this lunation is asking you to break free. Those energetic gates, like break open, break free. Again, strong connotation here I got about disconnecting from the past from past family lineage, what you do, anything that focuses on your external, like external accolades, accomplishments, because this has to do more with the inner life. Some of you have been picking up other people's scraps of soaps or reusing the same one over and over, but it's not yours. So the point here that I kept getting was about embracing other ways of being, other people's way of life, their perceptions, their philosophies, their beliefs, their worldviews, simply the way they're doing life. Some of you may have adopted that and it wasn't even yours. And like I said, some of this was placed before you. I don't want to belabor this because a lot of these themes, as you notice, they're coming up repeatedly. So there's something here that no longer fits. It doesn't feel good. You've outgrown that box. It's constricting now. And you may feel that, again, there's that tension here about I'm ready to finish and release and heal anything from my past that's been lingering, and I'm ready to break free and do something different. I'm ready to create my own systems, my own way of living in this world. So with this message, it's simply about re-exploring or exploring again, updating or putting into practice some of these updated or new belief systems, core values, and your overall life mission. Essentially, where you see yourself going. You don't have to know exactly how that's going to result or how that destination is going to look like, but where you want to eventually go towards. Does this feel good? Does this make me feel excited? If it doesn't, you're being asked, go back to the drawing board and see and practice, and it's that type of work in progress. Message number 2, rotten eggs. There was something here about following the smell and throwing away the rotten eggs. Something kept popping up about something not sitting right with you or something that no longer resonates. For any of you, if you've ever had eggs and they rotted, you will know the stench can be pretty profound. It's a loud stench, not in sound, but in smell. Think about any food that's very strong smelling that you may have left out and it just permeated everywhere. So there's something here about why are you still keeping this or this person or this thing around you? It could be, again, a belief, an environment, a particular relationship or a situation or something that's ongoing, but you know it doesn't fit you anymore. So this rotten eggs message indicated something that was past its expiration date, something that is about to conclude or finish. And it could mean, again, strongly the foundation for all of this resides with your way of doing life, your mindset, your philosophy, your belief system. So this points to figuring out what is repeatedly coming up for you, again, that doesn't resonate with you anymore, that doesn't feel good. It's not going where or towards where you want to go. This also speaks to healing as well. And I feel like you're going to receive confirmation or clarity of this, especially as we head into the crescent the crescent phase of this moon, about 2 to 3 days after the full moon on the 12th of December. I also kept hearing Green Eggs and Ham, the story by Dr. Seuss, which is interesting because a lot of things that I channel, songs, movies, books, whatever, I don't necessarily like them, including this. I was never fond of Dr. Seuss stories. So I thought about it, and that's why the message came through. There's something new that you're being called to do, even if you have an aversion to it, even if you don't like it, like the Green Eggs and Ham. So be careful about judging something, like judging a book by its cover, without really opening that book or exploring it. Because you can't say that you don't really like something until you actually try it. And we see that a lot with kids. I don't want to try that food. And parents or whoever's feeding them the food, they're like, try it. And they won't. It's that sense of resistance. So something I feel has been repeated or you've been repeating because it makes you feel safe. That's where I also get the past life energy or lineage family tree connection. It's something you've known, something you've been familiar with. And there was a line from Dr. Seuss's book here. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. Try them, and you may. Try them, and you may, I say. So you're being guided to go towards the new because it will feel uncomfortable. It's asking you to release your perceptions and preconceived notions around this, but more importantly, to practice this. Because if you don't like something, you don't have to continue doing it. That's the main point. So this also may come in gradations and identifying and realigning to this new version of you because it's not easy to get from point A to point B. A lot of times this involves some type of journeying, practicing, going back to the drawing board, continuing forward, etc. And that's what it's like with belief systems. When we do something that's different, that's new, that breaks off, especially that breaks off from the status quo. It could be a family structure, whatever container that it resides in, that it originates in. But this is what's going to start shifting your path. Last thing, for some of you, this connects to something you may consider or feel that is taboo regarding your belief system, your philosophy, your goals, what you want to pivot to, how you want to live, how you want to just life an adult through your soul journey. So you're here, for some of you that are tuning in, you're here to inject a new way of living, a new way of believing, especially in your family tree and in the world. So this is going to bring more abundance and fertility for you. Many of the people I've connected to, perhaps that's why there's a lot of different songs, movie references from across different generations. And I got Pluto and Scorpio. There's something new that wants to be injected here that hasn't been before. It could be part of your own family system. And it's also connected to the world that I feel is going to shift things dramatically for you energy-wise. Finally, message number 3, I got believe. And this seems so basic, but it's really not. And I kept hearing when this message was coming through, I heard Cher's song, Believe. It's about empowerment, self-sufficiency, and it really denotes the Aries archetype. This part of the lyric I have here says, well, I know that I'll get through this because I know that I am strong and I don't need you anymore. I don't need you anymore. Oh, I don't need you anymore. No, I don't need you anymore. Obviously, in this song, she was referencing, I think it had to do with a relationship. But again, with many songs, look past that because the message here is simply about something from the past, something that you've outgrown, that you no longer resonate or need to carry forward in your life. And you're being asked to release that. So this is, again, discussed within the confines of love and romance and relationships, but it extends completely beyond and in and with your soul journey. You simply got to believe in yourself first and foremost, and what you want, because that simply declares and confirms to the universe, hey, this is what I want. Because when you're wishy-washy and you're meandering and you're exploring, you're like, you know what, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do what this person does. It really sends the message and the vibration that you don't really know what you want. That's not the same thing as exploring and going back to the drawing board. If you know, hey, I want to work with animals and I want to save bumblebees, for example, that is your focal point. And I'm just saying this is just what popped in my head, whatever it is. Your belief system could be, you know what, I want to build a community of like-minded people that support animals and build a sanctuary, whatever it is. There's something about declaring that and letting yourself know. It's almost like a conversation with yourself. This is what I truly want. Do I have all the steps outlined? No. But I know that this is what I ultimately want to go towards. Sometimes the way you get there will deviate. It will change. Sometimes there will be different, paths, right? Sometimes you'll stop at a rest area. Sometimes you'll continue, get off another exit. The point here is about believing in yourself, your dreams first, believing what it is you want to bring into fruition. Because if you don't, how do you expect anyone else to believe and to support you? It's as if ever work, especially in a professional setting, if you've ever worked with clients where you believe in them more, you believe in the potential, and this could also be in interpersonal relationships. But if you believe in that container of the relationship more, or in that client's potential more, it can almost be disempowering, but it also puts the burden on you because you're taking on more of the work and you're willing to do and see it through than they are. And that's not the point. And this is the same energy I get here. It first has to be with that person. And with a relationship, it obviously involves two people. If only one person is seeing the potential of the relationship, it probably will not work out because there's misaligned values and priorities and commitments there, and also the growth. Same thing with your dreams. You got to believe in it first. This also speaks about moving past imposed limitations from and by yourself and with others, with losses, regrets, and failures. Because some of you, I kept hearing like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this again. What if I fail? And let me tell you, for those of you that have been trying things in your life in different areas of your life, particularly where Sagittarius is highlighted and you feel or are feeling like you're a loser, a failure, or whatever it is, you're not. Because it takes a lot of courage trying new things. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this didn't work for me. Oh, no, this didn't work. And you keep going. And it's about following your inner guidance, because you will do that. You will accomplish it. And depending on, every part of our journey, we're at different levels. So sometimes where you were then, even though you were having that intent to try to do things in a different way, it didn't work out. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. This is simply about creating and fomenting your own beliefs so that you have something to believe in the way that you want. This is the key here. When you don't have your own way of believing, or you're still ascribing to others or to what's external or outside of you, what your family says, what your friends project onto you, what society says, what cultures, what norms and everyone else thinks or says you should do, live, whatever it is, that's when we start going away from our truth. That's when we can become disingenuous with ourselves. And if you're seeing the threads here, the main point here is, for some of you, it's going to mean doing something very courageous by breaking away from traditions, by breaking away from what was and going on your own. This is all in terms of your mindset, right? Simply forging a path forward for yourself, because this is what feels good and true for your soul. You guys, we are wrapping this up. If you've been here with me, thank you. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate your patience. There was a lot that I channeled. It took a lot longer than I anticipated. But thank goodness for timestamps. If I could sum up this lunation in one word, it would be freedom. In 2 words, break free. And in a one-liner to sum things up, I put, it's time to break free of anything or anyone that has constrained you in any way. You'll ever hear of those stories of cows that jump off or leap off those trucks when they're on their way to going to a slaughterhouse? These animals knew. They're like, this isn't my journey. This isn't my path. This isn't what I'm supposed to do or end up like or in. They jumped off, and many of them, you hear positive stories, they end up in sanctuaries. They're nourished. They grow. They are able to live out their years in a different way. So I wanted to tell you, I know the example may have been extreme, but I'm not implying that. It's not a life or death here. But for some of you, the key to your own joy, your own happiness doesn't reside in others and in following other people's ascribed or prescribed prescriptions of life, of adulting, or their notions of how they feel you should live. And that's the hard part, is breaking free from the past, breaking free from ancestral and intergenerational wounds, especially differentiating our philosophies, our ways of life and doing, as not necessarily not loving people. Just because we don't see things the same way doesn't mean you don't love them any less, especially those closest to you. This lunation is about finding your own truth, your own inner sanctuary, what feels good for you, breaking free of what doesn't on all levels. You're starting to see how these energies flow and connect. It's like a giant quilt. This is all part of this cycle in your life that is ongoing and will continue to go. So I hope this new moon in Sagittarius video has helped you unpack and connect to some of these energies on a deeper level, because it's very deep. It's asking you to go deeper, I feel, than you have before, especially with the prominent energies of the Mars-ruled signs of Aries and Scorpio. Go deep and then take action when the time comes for you to do so. If this resonated, if this has helped in any way, I would truly appreciate your support by hitting the thumbs up button. That's the best way to support my channel. I absolutely loved doing this. It just took a lot more time, but I go now with what I feel, and I have to relay the messages that I get. And that's why we have timestamps again. Otherwise, I am wishing you a beautiful, illuminating new moon, and I hope you find the answers that you need that allow you to move you forward in your journey. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you all. Take care.